keep the port of Lithia Bay functioning, we need a workforce within arm's reach. So today, we're building out a brand new residential district right beside the port, using the amazing French residential assets by Gruny. We'll add in a scenic lighthouse tourism area, along with a bunch of high-end mansions for Lithia Bay's finest. Lastly, we'll build 2 large-scale factories along with 2 custom ones. Let's jump in. Alright, now to kick things off, I've already purchased these 3 tiles up here, so let's just talk connections into this area. Right now, we're treating this highway as a partially controlled access road, which means we have direct access without any interchanges. We're going to maintain that down here, unless we start to run into some traffic problems. Even with that said though, we really want to be careful about how many junctions we're adding along this expressway, because the more we add, the more failure points we introduce. For the residential area, I'm thinking we're going to add 2 new connections. So we'll have one right here, and then another up here. For safety, we're going to need to make sure that both of these are at grade. So let's just get started with the first one, and that's going to be right here. Now, step 1, we're going to need to delete a section of this highway, and we're also going to need a main road. Now, a 4-lane feels a bit crazy for how I envision this area, but I also want to have capacity to upgrade in the future just in case we need it. So let's use this 2.6 unit urban boulevard. I'm going to make sure ground level and constant slope are both on. I'm going to hug this contour line. And I'm going to chop it off right here because I want to make sure that we're coming into a 90. Another big important thing is that we really want to get in the middle of these 2 roads. And now we'll just do a gentle curve into this road. Next up, we're going to need a medium-sized roundabout, and I want to go with this mosaic roundabout, that way trucks could drive over it if they need to. Now we're just going to turn on parallel mode, and these should be 0.25, and we just need to make this connection into our roundabout. I'm going to flatten this out a bit. Now this is going to be our first connection. We're also going to have a second one down here, and this one's going to be a bit more tricky. And that's mostly just because we have this slight hill here, and we kind of need to respect it, but also at the same time, we need to keep in mind all the traffic that's going to be driving alongside these roads. Having a steep connection into this highway is only going to create issues in the future. It's not really a matter of how, it's more so a matter of when. Again, we're going to start by deleting our highway roads. We'll grab the urban boulevard, and we're going to set that right in the middle. And now we need to approach this hill at a gentle slope. Now let's just connect our 2 highway roads in. An added benefit to having all of these curves here is that they're actually going to calm traffic a bit. We don't want people flying into our roundabout, we want them to take it nice and slow, but with this in place, we're ready to move on to the next step. And for next steps, what I want to do is get our foundational road network in. So we're going to treat these roads as our main connectors, and what I want to do is wrap this around the contour line, and then make our way to right about here. And I haven't fully decided what this area is going to be, but we could potentially put a lighthouse here, or maybe even a nice big beautiful scenic park. Either way, let's get to work on that road. And there we have our first road. It required a little bit more work than I wanted to do, but for now, it's going to do the trick. We need to get this road connected in as well, and I don't see this road doing the same job as this one. This road's job is to carry most of the traffic. This road's job is just to provide an alternative route. So with that in mind, what I want to do is wrap this road around all the contour lines and meet back up somewhere alongside here. We need to start thinking about city services. Before we do that, we need to know where most of our residential is going to be concentrated. And just by looking at the contour lines, we can see a few spots where it's really going to make sense. So there's this small little flat spot right here. There's another section right here, but it's pretty close to the port, so maybe we'll have some services located alongside this. I'm going to flatten this out just a bit. And then alongside this is where I think a big chunk of our residential needs to go. Another section over here, and the rest will just follow alongside all the contours for our road network. Let's get some services in, and we're just going to branch a road off from our main road. And let's start with police, so we're going to grab the UK police station, and we'll place that right there. Right off the bat, I find this surface to be just a little bit too bright, so I'm going to replace it with something that's a bit more dark. We'll have our fire care right beside it, and this area doesn't have any utilities. I probably should have considered that before I placed everything in. I'm going to quickly pause the game because I don't want all of these services driving all the way down here. And I totally forgot about that. Yeah, let's just keep ignoring that for now, and we'll figure that out some other time. For power, we should have a high voltage station somewhere. That's over here. And I don't really want to overthink this too much. So to make this just slightly easier, I'm going to upgrade the expressway to have lighting, and what that'll do is give us access to our power network. And now as long as everything is connected up appropriately, we should have access. And for water and sewage, we're just going to continue our connection alongside our highway, and then we'll connect into these points. Last thing we need to do is push back our port district and then create a new district around our new residential area. And for now, we're going to give this area a placeholder name, French Residential. When we click play, we should finally see all of this disappear. And perfect, exactly what we were looking for. Now let's continue our services. I want to set both of these to only operate in this district. We're going to need some death care as well. And I want to be careful because I don't want to bundle all of our services onto one road. For death care, let's get that placed over here. Now let's take an alleyway and we're going to snap it to the front of this building. And then following the contours, we're just going to curve directly into our road. Again, we're going to make sure that this only operates in this district. Next up, we're going to need garbage. So let's go over to our city services. And I can see that we're using all of our vehicles. So let's just throw on the garbage truck upgrade. And it's the same thing with our recycling center. So again, let's throw on the garbage truck depot. Now we're just going to set both of these to operate into the new area. Now that we have the three most basic services in, I want to pump the brakes. And that's because when we place in our elementary and our high school, I want to make sure that it's somewhere centered, which means the next step is to start building out some of our grid. We're going to be using our alleyways, and we're just going to be following along these contour lines. I want this to feel like a mix between suburban and small town. So let's quickly build out our grid. Now I've been really excited to see what these assets look like, so let's just find a few. And there's two ways you can do this. You can search up FR Residential Low, and all the assets will be right here. Or you can just zone them in by swapping your theme filter to European, and you'll find the zoning category under FR Residential Low. I just want to take a second to admire some of these though, because they are really outstanding. And the beauty of it is that I wouldn't necessarily say that these couldn't fit in a North American build. In my opinion, they definitely could. And between the brickwork, the roofs, the attention to detail with the surfaces, it's just outstanding. I seriously love this so much. Even looking at some of the reflections here, and look, you can actually see inside the house. Now what I want to do is place these all over our low residential grid, and I'm going to hand place them. That's because right now, this grid is crazy. There are insane slopes pretty much everywhere. I decided to let loose a bit and not really worry too much about what the grades are, because if we do that, we're going to end up developing pretty much nothing. Before we do that though, let's get our elementary and our high school in. And I'm not really a big fan of this asset, but I feel like it's honestly going to be the best one. So let's just get this placed in right in the center. And I'm actually really happy we can fit it perfectly. And then we're just going to need a bit of parking for everyone who works here. While we're at it, let's also get a playground. And we'll also get in a small church. And let's make sure we set this to operate in this district only. This only has a capacity for 400 students, so we'll need to check back in at the end of the episode just to make sure we have the right mix. And then similar to what we did with our elementary school, making it the core center of this block, I'd like to do the same thing with our high school, so let's get this placed in right here. And we're going to orientate it so that we don't have to move any of the roads. And then we just need to do a little bit of surface work. There's really only two more services that we're going to focus on. And the first one is going to be healthcare. So let's grab the UK medical practice and we're going to place that right over here. Just absolutely rip through this terrain. This has a pretty big capacity of 150, but it only comes with 2 vehicles. Depending on how dense this area gets, we might need to do an upgrade. The last service we're going to need is our post office. And let's just get one of these small little post offices right here. We'll make sure to add on the post upgrade. That way we can handle more mail, and we'll set this to operate in our district. And now I'm just going to quickly go around and place some mailboxes. And now that we're spending a whole bunch of money on services, but we have no residential, I'm going to go through and plop all of our residential really quickly. Alright, now there's going to be a few things that we're never ever going to talk about. The first thing was the look of this road down here. We're never going to talk about that ever, or how I didn't realize. The second thing is some of the jank on these houses. I have my own way of solving this, and I'm just going to place one big tree somewhere in the middle, kind of like this, and you won't even really ever notice. Even with that said though, there were still some spots that just wouldn't have been able to happen, and that's this one right here. I could just move the road and add more space, but I think this gives some character, so we'll keep it all in. Now, we're gonna need some commercial, and I left open just these 2 plots right here, and thankfully this time we actually have commercial demand. Let's just go with our North American low density waterfront business, and I don't wanna be picky about this, I just wanna let it zone in. And that's okay. I think this one is actually pretty decent. I would say these ones need a little bit of work. So let's just adjust these buildings. We'll move them over a little bit. It looks like this building right here has some type of road access that it needs. So we're going to pretend to provide that by stretching this out. Now for this building, it's doing some weird things with its surface, so we're just going to replace both of them. And of course, for some reason, this entire building's surface was pavement. Now similar to what we did with the houses, to make this look good, we're just going to place a whole bunch of trees down. And then to help cover up some of the jank, we'll use this grass surface, and we're going to place it in the entire lot. And now when you zoom out, it's not too bad. For the next plot over here, it seems like some things have happened just like our previous one. I think the big problem here is that this building is just way too big. We need to cut this down significantly. And you know what? Let's plop a few buildings in. And at the moment, I don't have plop the growables locking the building level. So anytime we plop something in, it's unlocked, which means all of these buildings in this vicinity can level up, which is exactly what we want. And I'm thinking we'll just have 2 of those in there, keep it very similar. And of course, our favorite strategy is going to be add the trees, add the grass surface, and then just pretend everything's fine. And you know what? It doesn't come out looking that bad. Now let's take a break from this area for a second and let's head over here because I want to add in a lighthouse. And from our options, we have our old lighthouse, a large white house, this tiny little one, and then an even smaller one. I really think this has to be a big one. It's a pretty big boost to outdoor recreation. The amazing thing about this asset is it comes with two different upgrades, the Lighthouse Restaurant and the Lighthouse Museum. I love both of them and I really want to see them here. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait a second because for some reason I thought this didn't need utilities, and I kinda wish it didn't. So we'll just delete the roundabout and then we're gonna stretch this road out a little bit further. For the Lighthouse Museum, let's just add this off to the side. And for the restaurant, let's place it on the opposite side. Just whatever you do, don't fall down there. What I love about these side upgrades is that they do not require power. As long as the main building has all its utilities, these side buildings will function. But to take it a step further, you can use Find It to select them and place even more of them. And these don't need power either, which means we can do a little bit more here. So let's grab the restaurant and we'll add one more. And now I want to connect all the paths in. And then to make this function, we should just be able to grab our invisible pedestrian path, bring that nice and close, and perfect, it disappears. Same thing on this side. To be honest, I don't even know if this actually functions. Let's just hope that it does. Now we just need a bit of parking up here. And I really like this, but I actually want to add one more. When I've been to places similar to this, usually each building has its own purpose, or maybe it's a historical building, so you go in and all the rooms are locked off. You can't really touch anything, but you can see it, and maybe this has some historical significance for Lithia Bay. Now let's get to work on this area, and first we're going to remove all these trees because it just makes it impossible to see the contour lines. And now that I can actually see, I want to find something of a common height. Let's say this right here. That way we can pull it all the way through. And this is going to make development so much easier. Let's do the same thing on this side. And now on this one, we're going to place one of the cedar residents. And now we just need to connect this in. Now I could potentially see this hill serving Lithia Bay's richest people. And so to help sell that idea, I've searched up low and I've set our zone type to signature buildings. This is going to give us all of the grandest, fanciest low buildings that we have available. And what I want to do is work our road network around the buildings. So let's just start by placing a few of these in. Let's get the architect's mansion right here. The film actor mansion, it's very long, but not very wide. So I don't think it has a spot up here, but I think we could probably sneak that in right there. And right across from it, let's have the Extreme Athletes Villa and the Atkin Palmer Mansion. I think that's gonna fit really nice somewhere alongside here. And of course, the real estate agent's mansion, we're definitely gonna have to place this in. I almost feel like one of the Linwoods have to live here. And I think that's looking pretty solid. We're gonna clean all this up. Let's make sure we're getting some road access first, and we're just gonna run alleyways through here. Really, the last thing that I want is some type of park or path, and I want it to run all the way through here. So I'm just going to quickly run some trails alongside all of our contour lines. We'll make a few connections by our lighthouse, by our mansions, and by our low residential. For now, I think this little community is in a good place. Aside from the burning fires, let's just ignore that. There is a small problem though, and I only just realized it now. One of the goals today was to build out an industrial sector right about here. But when we check which way the wind blows, it unfortunately blows directly into this community. Weirdly enough, I'm not seeing any pollution come from the port. I mean, there's this small little section right here, but this is from our cereal mill. So does that mean that the port doesn't produce any air pollution whatsoever? What about ground pollution? Again, none. That's a bit surprising, to be honest. After the last update, this game really exaggerates pollution. I mean, if you want to see a good example, there's one right here. And when we look at the ground pollution over here, it's kind of crazy. When we look at the air pollution, it's even worse. Almost all of this land can't be developed by residential. And all of that makes it really difficult to integrate industrial and residential districts. In good urban loon fashion, we're just going to do it anyways, and we'll pay for the consequences later on. We have this beautiful section of flat land right here, and I know at a minimum I want to get at least the switch on and the athletic wear factory right beside it. And the factories won't have direct access to the port. We're going to do something a little bit different. First, we're going to need to branch a main road for these buildings off of this road. Let's just use a normal alleyway. We don't need sidewalks here. We want to do our best to come down gently, that way trucks can take all of this super easily. For this intersection, we're not going to make it a roundabout, but we will make it a super node. To make this easier for trucks to turn, we're going to pull back the nodes a bit. Now we need to connect our road into the front of the buildings. So first we're going to snap it to our switch on, and then we're going to make a curved angle here, send it all the way across, and last but not least, we just need to do a gentle curve into this road. Now all of that's looking good, but I want to gentle up these turns just a little bit more. Now, surprise, surprise, we are having an electricity issue. And if I had to guess, this is probably just a capacity thing. So we're going to open up our electricity info view, and we're going to get rid of everything except for low voltage electric cables. And no, it's actually not a capacity issue. The only issue is that I forgot to upgrade these with lights. And now they should have power again. I'm also wondering, where is this tornado? And it's right there. Please stay away from our port. Listen, we've already had so many natural disasters ravage our entire city. Just do us a favor and don't ravage our brand new port. Now what I want to do is get this connected into this road, and this isn't really going to function the same way as this road does. So I imagine this descent to be primarily for people who work in this area, rather than the trucks driving to pick goods up and then drop them off. So with that in mind, we're not going to go crazy on our slopes. We want to do our best to respect it, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And even though I wasn't trying to make it perfect, it actually did come out really, really well. It's all under 3.4%. Now I want to get rid of all these trees so I can actually see what I'm doing. There we go, that's much better. I want to create a small little grid here, and that's so we can place down some parking and some warehouses. This building already comes with a tiny bit of parking, and I think that's fine. I still want 2 giant parking lots just to serve this building alone. And for this building, it doesn't really come with any parking. And for this building, what we're going to do is just wrap some parking around the back. And that's because we have this little exit or entrance right here, and I feel like it's going to look better if we're actually doing something with it. But before we do any of that, let's quickly extend out our grid. And I'm just going to grab a very large parking lot and place this in right here. That way I'm planning my road network around the parking requirements. And now we're just going to connect this directly in. And I know it's crazy, but these are 2 massive factories. I would expect a whole bunch of parking. And I'm going to remove the parking fee, because if you're driving all the way down here to come work in the factory, the last thing I would expect is paying for parking. That is insanity. Now let's quickly get the parking in for our switch on. I need a bit of space, so I'm just going to flatten some of this out. I'm going to take our perpendicular parking alley. We'll have parallel mode on. We're going to go 0.25 units, and we're just going to snap directly to the back of this building. And that right there is what I'm trying to avoid. Janky looking parking. Now we're going to connect these 2 ends together. And we just need one more connection in the middle. And this weird janky spot I think is going to be our best candidate. And there we go. That's pretty much perfect. Now we'll branch a connection into our road from this road. And that is looking really good. Next up, I want to build a small little warehouse space right here, but I don't want to use the boring vanilla assets. I have something greater in mind. So we're going to open up our static ploppables, specifically the service buildings, and we're going to grab some of these road maintenance depots. 3 should do the trick. I'm going to rotate this one to front this road. We'll rotate these ones to front the left and the right. And now I just want to pull this all the way to the front. That's pretty much perfect. We only need one more building, and I was thinking about using the post office building for this, specifically the post sorting facility, the mail storage extension. I think this is going to work really nice. Let's get this somewhere in the middle. And now I want to take our concrete strip to very dark, only have road net on, click once, and now this entire thing is concrete. Of course, the only issue is that these buildings don't actually function. So let's grab some of our industrial blocks, and this is probably only going to make air pollution worse, but you know what? I think we can live with it. And it looks like our 1x6s almost fit this perfectly. Let's have a few down here. And I'm just going to hide them behind the garage. All we need to do is give each one of these a pedestrian gate, and I think it's going to make sense if we try and stay somewhere near these doors. And now just having a pedestrian gate isn't good enough. We need to make sure that they can actually access the pedestrian gate. So using our invisible pedestrian path, I just want to connect all of this up. And now we're going to do the exact same thing for this building. I would imagine that these companies are doing a lot of exporting through the port, which is why they have their operations set up right beside it. So to help with that, we won't give a direct access, but we will make it easier to access the port gate. So first, we're going to have to upgrade this road down to be a normal 2-lane highway, and we'll do that to right about here. Now, using our alleyway, we're going to do a nice gentle curve, and then we're going to meet back up with this road. Now, of course, the only issue is that we don't want vehicles turning left. So let's upgrade this to be a one-way alley with no parking. Before we move on, the athletic wear factory does have an upgrade, and it's the sport shorts assembly line. Sales are through the roof, and our city is dressed better than ever. But everywhere is just yoga pants and branded t-shirts. I don't really get it, but it's going to give us a 5% industrial efficiency citywide. Let's add it on. And interestingly, they require livestock and they produce textiles. And that's because they are a tannery. How does our production chain look on that side? And it's not too bad. We have a 74-ton surplus of livestock, so everything should be good. Now let's implement some feedback from the last video when we made the Lithia Bay port. One of the biggest things that stood out to me was that we didn't have any industrial sectors near it, but now we have 2 giant buildings along with a few smaller ones. The second biggest thing was that we have a direct line into our timber industry, but yet we have no real place to store it within our port. And what I was thinking we could do is we could use Better Bulldozer, we could delete the sub-elements of sub-buildings and extensions, and we could just get rid of some of the containers over here. And it looks like we could even get rid of the decals if we wanted. Unfortunately, it would get rid of all of them, so I'll keep it here. But then we can search up pile, go into our props, and here we have a bunch of piles of logs. So let's get a few of these in here. I might almost expect some sort of fence alongside our train tracks, so that way we don't have any issues there. For the fence, let's just add in the industrial high. Okay, next thing was that the height of this was awful. I think the slope on this was somewhere around 5.2%. And you can see I did some work and move it to get it to be a bit better, but it's not as good as it needs to be. So what we're gonna do is delete this small section of track right here. And ooh, that does not look good. Okay, but once we deleted that small section, we were good. Now let's increase the height of this building just a little bit more. And now when we make this connection, how bad is it? It's about -4%, which isn't perfect, but someone mentioned that as long as we're using smaller trains, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. I definitely don't think we need a 20-wagon freight train. Let's go with an 8-car for now. And then I just want to clean up this mess that I've made because it is looking really bad. And I ended up just deleting it all and then rebuilding the line. And then I just made sure to add on our freight train with only 8 wagons. Now, something I noticed when I was rebuilding the line is that we have no vehicles. And this definitely isn't very good. And you're kidding me, what is happening down here? What is going on? Okay, we'll rebuild this. We'll rebuild our mall. What burnt down here? There used to be something here. What was it? I genuinely can't remember. It always feels like there's something going on. We're gonna add in a bit more capacity for our trains, and you can tell that I kind of already have this prepped and ready to go. This track is actually non-functional. What I'm hoping is we can just place this on top and call it a day. And I would definitely be wrong. Let's try this again. I just want to snap this directly in. So there's one more vehicle for us. Let's do it on this side as well. Okay, that was way too difficult. I really should have planned ahead and thought about the room that would be needed for expansion, because this just isn't it. Alright, now with all of that done, I think it's time we continue to ignore our problems for one more day and instead get to work on some detailing. And for detailing, there's really only two main goals. The first one being is that I want this lighthouse, the museum, the restaurant, I want it all to feel like a special place. This should be somewhere that people want to come to. The second one being is that our industrial looks extremely dead right now. It looks like there's nothing going on at all, and I strongly dislike that. This should feel busy, this should feel dirty, but most of all, it should feel alive. Aside from that, we're just gonna fill in a bunch of the gaps with some trees and really try to hide some of the ugly things we did. With all of that in mind, let's jump into detailing. All right, and that is where I'm gonna call it. I'm really happy with how it turned out. There was a few unexpected things that I did, but overall, I think it came out really nice. Now let's quickly check on our elementary school to make sure that we have enough capacity, and we are at 368 out of 400 students. I'm wondering how many children are actually in this area. So there's only 309 children, which makes me question where are the extra children coming from then? It's only set to operate in this district, so I don't know. One last thing before we wrap up. we finally have... Okay, never mind. We have 2 more things. First, I'm wondering whether this is a trip issue or a capacity issue. And all of our vehicles are active, so let's try throwing on 2 more before we add in a new facility. And now, we finally have the new name for Barlow Acres. It is now the Bayfront Civic Center. I think it's going to be an interesting name, especially as this area changes and shapes over time. I'm definitely still concerned of all these hearse icons, and I think I'm just going to solve that one next time. So let's jump into a quick before and after. And that's a wrap. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed. Today's shoutouts go to Jake Hill, Gary Key, Deku, Freya Stark, Michael Mills, and everyone else supporting the channel. It really does mean a lot. If you want sneak peeks, save file access, or exclusive roles on Discord, you can join us over on Patreon or YouTube. If you haven't already, a like, comment, and subscription really go a long way. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one.